What did Joseph from Genesis do? Hmm. Joseph has a very long story. A very long story. And if I was a smart businessman, I would say, wait until you read the book. But it is already listed in the Bible. Uh, it is a very long story. It has starts with chapter 36 and goes to the end of chapter 50. So that is what, 14 chapters? Am I counting that correctly? 14 chapters. So Joseph, he was sold. If you watch the cartoon version, the Joseph, the King of Dreams, Joseph was sold by his brothers. After he confronts his brothers, the brothers throw him down into this cistern. They were about to kill him, but Reuben, this is Reuben, his face is not drawn. Reuben says, no, let's not kill him because I'm responsible for him and it's going to fall on my head if father finds out. So they, instead of killing him, they sell him to a band of slave uh, slave merchants, the Midianites, who then sell him to Egypt. And in Egypt is when he gets bought by Potiphar, and he gets accosted, sexually assaulted by Potiphar's wife. And he's like, no, I don't think so because I'm a man of God and will dishonor your husband. And she's not happy with that, and she tears off his robe. And uh, as he's running away, and he gets his robe torn off. So there she is, Potiphar's wife, with this robe in her hand, and she says, "You know what? I have evidence. I'm going to cry, help, help, help!" And uh, she frames Joseph for uh, sexually assaulting her instead of the other way around. Joseph gets thrown into the dungeon, and he stays there for 7 years, I think. It was either 3 years or 7 years. While he's in the dungeon, he meets up with the cupbearer for the pharaoh and the baker for the pharaoh, uh, and they say, "Oh, we can't sleep because we had a terrible dream." And he said, "Really? I know how to interpret dreams." So he interprets their dreams, and he tells them that uh, the baker is going to have his head chopped off, and the cupbearer is once again going to be at the side of Pharaoh. But remember me when you're out of this when you're out of this prison. Please remember me. So uh, the cupbearer goes back to his job, and he forgets about Joseph until uh, one night when Pharaoh had a terrible dream, and he calls the wise men to interpret the dream for him, and they're not able to interpret the dream. And then the cupbearer says, "Oh, right, I forgot. There's this guy that I met in prison. He can interpret dreams." And he says, "Pharaoh, I'm sorry. I should have told you this a long time ago. There's this guy named Joseph. He can interpret dreams." So they go to the dungeon, fish out Joseph. They bring him back to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh tells the dream. And Joseph tells him that the dream is about there will be 7 years of plenty in Egypt, and then there will be 7 years of famine in Egypt. And what you should do is save all of your grain from the 7 years of plenty so you can be ready for the 7 years of famine. Save a fifth of your grain, that is. Save a fifth of all of your grain so you can be ready for the years of famine. So the Pharaoh was so impressed with Joseph that he makes him the governor. He makes them second. Only Pharaoh is more powerful than he is. But Joseph is in charge. Joseph is in charge of collecting all of the grain, and nothing is done without Joseph's say-so. And then 7 years of plenty, just like Joseph said, came before 7 years of famine. And so everything is good for Joseph. People all around from other countries are coming to Joseph, to Egypt, to get food. So his brothers are at home in Hebron, starving, because the famine hit not only Egypt, but all the countries around. And, oh, I forgot to tell you, when they put Joseph into the cistern and he was sold to Egypt, they went back and told their father that Joseph had been killed by a wild animal, and they brought his fancy coat with all the blood stains on it to fool their father. So this the same family who said that Joseph is dead needs food, and they hear that food is available in Egypt, so they go to Egypt. So when they go to Egypt, there is Joseph dressed up as an Egyptian. They don't recognize Joseph because, first of all, he's older. Second of all, he's dressed in Egyptian clothes. Second of all, he's using a translator because he's acting like he doesn't understand the Hebrew language. So he tricks his brothers into thinking that he's a horrible tyrant. He says, "You are spies. I'm not going to give you any food." But no, we're not spies, because we are from Hebron, and we come for food for our father. And they mention that he's very upset and never leaves Hebron because his favorite son was killed. And Joseph is all emotional about that. So then there's a deception. Joseph deceives his brothers. He acts like he believes their story, but he gives them 12 bags of grain. But in one of the bags of grain, Simeon's bag of grain, he was not familiar with this biblical role. Yeah, this is quite the story. Quite a long story, actually. I need to hydrate. We're only halfway through the story. So he puts a silver cup or something, a piece of silver, into the bag of Simeon, and uh, he acts like they get halfway home, and then he sends guards after them to get the silver back, and then they put Simeon in jail. And they say, "You will not be able to get Simeon out of jail unless you prove to me that your story is true. Bring back your brother Benjamin, your youngest brother Benjamin." And they're like, "That will kill our father. Our father will surely die if we bring back Benjamin." "I don't care. Bring him back." "Oh, no, no, no. Too big, too big, too big." So they go home. They talk to their father. They tell them that the man in Egypt said that they wanted to see Benjamin, and their father was like, "No, you are not taking Benjamin with you. We'll ride it out. We are going to. We'll see how long this famine lasts," because they don't know about the prophecy. They don't know about the dream. So they eat all the food, all the grain that they've been given, and after a while, they're like, "Okay, we need more food. We need to go back to Egypt." So eventually, uh, Israel is the name of the father. He relents and he says, "Okay, bring back Benjamin, but make sure that you bring him back." And Judah, on his life, says, if I don't bring back Benjamin, uh, then you can take one of my sons. You can kill one of my sons. And I'm thinking when he says that, really, Dad, are you sure? Why did you go? Why do you say these things? Nobody asked me for my what? Uh, so they go back to Egypt and they take Benjamin with them this time. And Joseph is still acting like he doesn't know. So Joseph has all of them to dinner. He says, "Okay, I believe you now. Everyone come to dinner." And he's still acting like he doesn't know the brothers. He's still using a translator. And he hands out all the portions at dinner, and he gives Benjamin the biggest portions. And all the brothers are like, it doesn't say they said anything, but I'm sure that they're thinking, what is going on here? Why are you giving him the biggest portions? We are the oldest. We are the oldest brothers. Why does he get the biggest portions? So anyway, it doesn't say that, but I'm thinking that that's probably what they thought. So dinner goes on, and eventually Joseph can't take it anymore. He wants to know about his father. And he says, "Tell me more about your father. Tell me more about him." And they say they answer all the questions that he's asking, and he starts crying. Joseph can't take it anymore, and he finally reveals himself as being Joseph. "I am your brother Joseph, who you sold into slavery." And they're like, "Oh no, we're totally done for. He is totally going to kill us. Uh, please." And even before they can, I mean, imagine what you would be thinking in their spot. And Joseph comes to them and says, I forgive you. Let's use the number 7 around the eyes. So he immediately wants to know more about his father. Tell me more about my father. I swear I'm not going to kill you. So the way I read the story, the way I interpret the story is that I think Joseph was a bit self-righteous in the beginning. In the beginning of the story, I believe that he was given a coat, a colorful coat with sleeves, and what the Bible does not tell you, unless you read history, unless you know the culture of the day, it doesn't tell you that that was a that was the custom. You give the son who is going to be the Behor is what they call it. The Behor is the person who is going to be in charge of the inheritance after you die. So uh, the older brothers were jealous that he gave that responsibility to Joseph, which is why him showing up in the middle of a desert, in the middle of nowhere with no witnesses, was a real temptation for them to. They were going to just flat out kill him instead of selling him into slavery. And I don't think Joseph helped anything by telling them, you know what? I had a dream. You want to hear this dream I had? I had a dream that I was being worshipped by the sun and the moon and stars. I had a dream that your sheaves of wheat were bowing down to mine. And it was not easy for them to interpret those dreams. It's not hard, rather, to interpret those dreams as saying, oh, really? You're going to rule over us? We'll take care of that. We'll just throw you down a cistern. So there you go. So I believe that he learned some things while he was in Egypt about forgiveness. And humility. So hopefully, the way I write the story, not written yet, but I believe that he is going to change by the time that his brothers bring Benjamin back to Egypt.